Is hope killing you? All aspects of life, including morality, identity, and societal structures, are driven by the fundamental need for hope.
Welcome to the deep dive. So we're tackling something that I think a lot of us feel, this really strange paradox. Why does it feel like everything's kind of falling apart, socially, politically, even personally, when if you look at the numbers, I mean, objectively,
Yeah,
the world seems safer, wealthier, healthier than, well, ever.
it really does. The stats are pretty clear. Extreme poverty way down, global violence trending down for decades, rights we couldn't have imagined a century ago.
Right. And yet,
Exactly, we're seeing these huge spikes in depression, anxiety, especially among younger people. It just doesn't seem to add up.
it's a massive puzzle.
It is. And the sources we've looked at suggest this feeling of hopelessness. It isn't just an unfortunate side effect of progress. It might actually be baked into how our minds work. Yeah. So today, we're diving into this idea that maybe our greatest strength, hope. Maybe it's also our biggest weakness, structurally speaking. Our mission here is to sort of unpack the psychology behind this paradox. We'll get into some uncomfortable truths you might be avoiding, how your mind actually operates, and the really critical role that pain plays in shaping who you are, your values. You might have a few aha moments about why you feel the way you do.
Okay, so if the stats say relax, enjoy the progress, why does everything inside feel so shaky? What are we all avoiding so hard that it creates all this internal drama?
Well, the core idea from the sources is that it all stems from avoiding one massive, unchangeable fact.
Which is,
You're going to die. Everyone you love is going to die. And honestly, beyond a pretty small circle of people for a fairly short time. Very little of what you say or do is going to matter in the grand scheme of things. You are like cosmically insignificant dust, essentially.
okay, that's heavy, right out of the gate.
It is. And that truth, that kind of existential void, we are constantly desperately running from it.
So how does the mind cope? How does it spin a story that makes us, get out of bed in the morning instead of just checking out?
Exactly. That's where hope comes in. Hope is the essential narrative. It's the story your mind needs to tell itself to make life feel meaningful, worthwhile.
A coping mechanism, basically.
A fundamental one. And this desperate need for meaning drives what the sources call the consciousness car. Think of it like your mind is a car driven by two different brains.
Okay, two brains. So we've got the thinking brain. That's the rational part, right? Logical, slow, takes real effort. The philosopher.
That's the one. But then you've got the feeling brain. This one's quick, impulsive, emotional, often irrational, maybe even a bit of a drama queen.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the really counterintuitive part, the bit most people don't like to admit. The feeling brain. It's the one driving the car.
Wait, the irrational drama queen is driving? Not the logical philosopher?
Pretty much, yeah. And the thinking brain. Its main job, a lot of the time, is just to act like a press secretary for the feeling brain.
So it just justifies whatever the feeling brain already decided to do.
Precisely. Feeling brain wants to skip that awkward phone call. Thinking brain instantly generates 5 perfectly logical reasons why tomorrow is better. Feeling brain screams ice cream. Thinking brain pipes up, well, I did work really hard today.
Okay, I definitely recognize that pattern.
It just rationalizes the impulse after the fact.
There was that case study, Elliot. That really hammers this home, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely, Elliot. Had surgery, removed a tumor from his frontal lobe. Intellectually, totally fine. High IQ, memory, reasoning skills, all intact. The thinking brain was humming along, but he lost the ability to feel emotions, to assign value.
And what happened?
His life just disintegrated. Complete chaos. Couldn't make decisions because nothing mattered emotionally. Couldn't prioritize. He'd spend like hours choosing which pen to use. Lost his job. Wife left him. Savings gone. All because he couldn't feel the importance of anything.
That completely flips the script on the old idea, Socrates, Descartes.
Yeah.
That reason needs to control the unruly passions.
Exactly. If that were true, Eliot should have been a Vulcan. Super rational, super effective, but he wasn't. He was paralyzed.
So reason and emotion aren't enemies. They need each other.
They're partners, totally intertwined. Self-control isn't about the thinking brain dominating the feeling brain. That's basically lobotomy logic. And look how that turned out. It created people who were functional shells.
So real self-control is?
It's about alignment, cooperation, accepting your feeling brain is driving, but learning how to communicate with it, guide it, Integrate the two.
Okay, so how do we do that? How do we get aligned with this emotional driver?
What we need to understand is operating system. The sources talk about 3 fundamental laws of emotion that govern the feeling brain.
Rules of the road for the drama queen. Got it. What's law number 1?
Law number 1 is equalization. Basically, every action creates a need for an equal and opposite emotional reaction. It's about opening and closing what are called moral gaps.
Moral gaps.
Like, if I do something nice for you,
Hmm.
a positive gap opens. You feel a little indebted, maybe you feel warmth, you want to reciprocate. If wrong, you would cut you off in traffic, a negative gap opens. Your feeling brain generates anger, frustration.
The urge to honk or, gesture.
Exactly. To close that gap, to equalize things. This constant opening and closing of gaps is like the engine of human social interaction, emotionally speaking.
Okay, makes sense for everyday stuff. But what about bigger things? What if someone hurts you repeatedly and you can't equalize? You're powerless to retaliate or get closure.
That's the critical point. And it leads straight to the second law of emotion, identity. When these moral gaps persist, when you can't close them, your brain has to make sense of that ongoing imbalance.
It needs a story.
It needs a story to explain the pain and the lack of control. You internalize it, and that forces you to build a narrative about yourself that justifies why this gap exists and stays open.
So, if I felt neglected as a kid and I couldn't make my parents change, I have to come up with a reason why I was neglected.
Precisely. And according to the sources, this surrender to persisting gaps usually leads down one of 2 paths. Path 1, low self-worth. You conclude, there must be something wrong with me. I deserved it. I am fundamentally flawed. I'm shit.
Ouch.
Path 2, narcissism. You conclude, I'm actually amazing, I'm special, and these bad things happen because others are jealous or threatened by my greatness. They are the problem.
So feeling worthless and feeling like a persecuted genius are related.
The sources argue they're 2 sides of the same counterfeit coin. Both stem from building an identity around the idea that your past pain makes you uniquely special, just in different ways. Both are ultimately based on unresolved emotional gaps.
Wow. Okay, that reframes a lot. So our values, how we see ourselves, are built on these narratives about past hurts and gaps.
Essentially, yes. And the whole collection of these value-based narratives, that's your identity. I'm a survivor. I'm unlucky. I'm a hard worker. I'm a victim. They're all stories tied to these emotional dynamics.
Which brings us to the third law of emotion.
Right. Newton's third law of emotion, you can call it. Changing your identity, changing those core narratives, is inherently painful.
Why painful?
Because it requires experiences, sometimes deliberately sought, that directly contradict your established story.
Yeah.
It feels like a threat to your very self. Letting go of a narrative like, I'm not good enough, means facing the pain that created it, but also grieving the loss of that familiar, if painful, identity. Growth hurts because you're shedding a part of who you thought you were.
And because that underlying cosmic insignificance thing is always there, we naturally cling to these identities, right? And we look for others who share our stories.
Exactly. We seek confirmation. That's why we form groups, communities, what the sources broadly call religions, not just spiritual ones.
You mean like political ideologies or even just social cliques?
Yeah. Any system organized around a shared God value, something held as supremely important. Maybe it's money, maybe family loyalty, maybe scientific evidence, maybe national identity.
And these shared values give us a sense of control.
They give you a sense of control, community, shared meaning. A buffer against that uncomfortable truth of insignificance. They reinforce your narrative and make you feel less alone in the void.
Okay, that ties it together. Shared values create hope and meaning to fight the void. But let's circle back to the big paradox. If we're safer and richer, why the psychological distress? How does this play out now?
Well, that's where things get tricky in the modern world. One explanation offered is something called the blue dot effect.
The blue dot effect.
Imagine you're shown a screen with lots of dots, and your job is to spot the blue, threatening dots. At first, maybe there are many blue dots. But as the researchers reduce the number of actual blue dots,
You'd think people would relax, right? Fewer threats.
you'd think. But what happens is people start identifying purple dots, dots that are closer to blue, but objectively neutral or harmless as threatening. Their definition of threat expands to keep finding problems.
Whoa, so when the real dangers decrease, like extreme poverty or violence?
Our minds don't just settle into happy contentment. They start recategorizing minor annoyances, disagreements, or neutral events as major threats, just to maintain a kind of baseline level of perceived danger or dissatisfaction.
We basically start manufacturing outrage over smaller and smaller things. because the big things are mostly gone.
That's the idea. We magnify minor indiscretions, political disagreements, social awkwardness. We turn purple dots blue because our brains are sort of hardwired to look for threats and problems. It keeps the feeling brain engaged, maybe. Keeps the drama going.
So protecting people from all adversity doesn't necessarily make them happier or more resilient.
It can actually make them more fragile, more easily triggered, more anxious, because their threshold for what counts as a problem just keeps getting lower and lower.
Okay, so if the blue dot effect means we're programmed to find problems even when they aren't really there, what's the solution? How do we escape that cycle?
The path forward, according to the sources, lies in psychological maturation, developing what are called adult values, moving beyond more primitive ways of valuing things.
Primitive ways. Like what?
Well, think about development. Stage 1 is childhood, what matters, pleasure and pain. Right now, I want the ice cream because it tastes good. I won't touch the hot stove because it hurts. Immediate gratification or avoidance.
Makes sense. What's next?
Stage 2, adolescence. Now values become transactional. Bargaining. Okay, I won't steal the ice cream, but only because I might get caught and punished, or I'll be nice to you if you'll be nice to me. Everything's a deal, a means to some other end, avoiding pain later, getting a reward later. Morality is conditional.
A lot of adults seem stuck there, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. It's very common. But true adulthood, psychologically speaking, is reached when your values become unconditional, principle-based.
Meaning?
Meaning you do the right thing because it is the right thing, regardless of reward or punishment. I won't steal, not because I'll get caught, but because stealing itself is wrong.
Yeah.
You recognize that some things like respect, integrity, love, maybe have inherent value. They aren't just tools to get something else.
So moving from what's in it for me to what is the right thing to do.
Exactly. It's about shifting from conditional, transactional thinking to unconditional, principled action. And the philosopher Immanuel Kant actually nailed this pretty well with his formula of humanity.
Okay, Kant, what's the formula?
Basically, treat consciousness, both your own and others, always as an end in itself, and never merely as a means to some other end.
Don't use people. Don't use yourself.
Right. Don't use someone just for sex or money or status. Don't lie to get a deal that treats their rational mind as a tool for your gain. And, crucially, don't treat your own mind and body merely as tools for pleasure or avoiding discomfort. Treat yourself and others with inherent respect, as beings with intrinsic worth.
That's a high bar, especially when life constantly throws pain at us.
It is, and that's the reality.
Yeah.
Pain is a universal constant. It's like that whack-a-mole game at the arcade, you know?
Yeah, sack one down.
And another one pops right up. Financial pain, relationship pain, health pain, existential pain. You solve one problem, another appears. The faster you try to eliminate all pain, the faster new forms seem to emerge.
And chasing that zero pain state just makes us weak, fragile.
Desperately fragile, because pain is going to happen. Trying to build a life completely devoid of discomfort makes you incredibly brittle when an actual stressor inevitably hits.
So instead of fragility, we need the opposite. What was the term? Anti-fragility.
Yes, anti-fragility. Gaining strength from stressors, from pressure, from shocks, like muscles getting stronger from lifting weights. The mind is similar. Shield it completely from stress, and it atrophies. It becomes weak.
So we need to train our minds to handle pain, not just avoid it.
We need to train it to observe the ebb and flow of pain, the constant arising and passing of discomfort without immediate impulsive reaction, to sit with it.
Is that kind of what meditation does when practiced seriously?
That's a perfect example of cultivating anti-fragility.
Right.
Rigorous meditation is training the mind to watch pain, watch thoughts, watch urges without being swept away by them, to accept their presence without needing to immediately fix or escape them.
Just observe it.
Observing, accepting. There's that incredible, almost unbelievable example of Thich Quang Duc, the Vietnamese monk in 1963.
The self-immolation protest. Yeah.
He sat perfectly still,
Yeah.
lotus position, didn't move a muscle, didn't make a sound, didn't even flinch while he was engulfed in flames.
It's impossible to even imagine that level of control, that stillness.
It's seen as this ultimate demonstration of anti-fragility, of mastering the mind's reaction to pain. In Buddhism, they talk about the two arrows. The first arrow is the actual event, the physical pain. It's unavoidable.
Wikisire itself.
Right. The second arrow is our reaction to the first arrow, the emotional suffering, the fear, the anger, the why me, the desperate attempt to escape. Thich Quang Duc was struck by the first arrow, the physical agony, but he seemingly refused the second arrow. He didn't add emotional suffering on top of the physical pain.
He accepted the first, neutralized the second.
Wow. By accepting the inevitability of the first arrow, he became, in that moment, invincible to the